Hello and welcome to, of course, another movie review here on HSG, and this movie, called The Titan from 2018, a Sam Worthington-led flick, don't let that put you off though, trust me there, is currently available on Netflix. I'm not sure if it still will be permanently, but at least that's how I watched it. And this is a movie which, although I haven't checked the scores for it, it wouldn't surprise me if it's maybe middling, maybe an unassuming score from most people, and some people may even describe it as a forgettable flick. I would understand that from a certain point of view. However, I actually quite like this movie. Now, I wouldn't call it my favourite in any particular genre, and the reason why I say any particular genre is because this flick actually kind of jumps between different genres at different points. Overarching, it's kind of sci-fi, there's elements of thriller, elements of horror, elements of drama, even family or relationship drama, but the primary thing that actually pleasantly surprised me about this story, and the reason why I actually liked it enough to review it, is because of what they do with the concept and with the story itself. Now, nothing within the story is necessarily going to reinvent the wheel. But if you actually think about what the story is in this film, and of course I'll give you a brief non-spoiler explanation first of all, it's basically about a mission to space, to go to Titan, a moon. And the astronauts involved need to be prepped for that. They need to, undergo a certain drug routine, undergo certain training, as literal astronauts do. And of course, in the movie, it's different because the circumstances are different. It's not like they're just going to the moon again. They're going to a moon, but a very different moon. Now, that is actually what I love about this film, because think about most astronaut movies. The vast majority of them turn the training sequence of the movie into maybe a 2 or 3 minute montage at best. An astronaut running on a treadmill with a mask on. Then he'll be in a spinning G-force chamber, maybe drinking some kind of concoction that's beneficial for his health, all the time wearing blue shorts and a white t-shirt. That's essentially what most astronaut movies do for the quote-unquote training montage portion of the film. It's almost like something that you just get out the way. They do it in comedy movies, serious dramas, sci-fi, everything in between. This movie doesn't. This entire movie is about the training. That's pretty unique. And I actually really like that. I think the concept of taking what would usually be a story beat and turning it into an entire story is very cool. Now, you could easily do that wrong, because if you choose the wrong thing to blow out of proportion into an hour and a half, 2-hour movie, then of course it could blow up in your face. Nobody, for instance, wants to see an hour and a half movie about the astronaut canteen. But if you choose the right thing and add in some compelling characters and unexpected to semi-expected story twists, then yeah, you can have a decent little flick. And to me, that is exactly what this movie is. It's not going to win an Oscar, but I liked it. I was pleasantly surprised. I really liked the cast of characters. They're not all recognisable faces, but they do have great chemistry together. And I like what the story did with its essential concept. Now, to sum up my spoiler-free thoughts, I would actually recommend checking out this movie if you're a fan, as I certainly am, of movies which take a known or familiar genre or story type, but then apply it either to a different location or amplify a certain aspect of that concept or story more than you typically would. Now, I'm sure there are way more examples of this than I can currently think of, but I've definitely reviewed other movies on this channel which have traits like this. A movie which, for instance, spends more time in a certain situation than typically, a big blockbuster or a better-known movie typically would. For instance, what Tarantino does with his dialogue scenes. Usually they are just that. It's just, a few plot points, drop in some nuggets of information that you need. He doesn't do that. He likes to kind of wallow in the situation. And you could say that The Hateful Eight is the ultimate example of that. The entire thing is just a conversation, basically. It's my favourite Tarantino film. So, of course, a movie like that is going to appeal to me. Likewise with this one, it takes what could be just a fairly run-of-the-mill astronaut flick if they actually, played it out as it would usually go, and instead they make it much more personal, much more drama-based rather than sci-fi-based, with sci-fi in there for sure, and I think it's all the better for it. Now, to get into my spoiler talk, What do I want to discuss spoiler-wise? Well, of course, if you haven't seen the flick, I wouldn't necessarily recommend going too much into this portion of the video. Check out the movie first and then come back. But of course, the thing that we need to talk about primarily is where the movie ends up. When he fully, morphs into this, I don't even know what you call it, lizard man, I guess, with kind of wings, but kind of not. The larger guy earlier on, who you kind of see the silhouette of in his house before he gets shot, apparently was turning into the same thing. I was unsure about that at first, because it almost made it feel as if all of the emotional build-up to that point, all of the drama and all of the great relationship building between him and his wife, and incidentally, I thought his wife was fantastic in the movie. She was not a typically written supporting family member, even if this were, a female role and the supporting husband instead, they tend to fall into tropes for that kind of stuff, arguing about stuff which doesn't need to be argued about, that kind of cliched thing. They don't do that in this movie. She's a smart woman. She's a doctor. She knows what she's talking about. He's smart in different ways. He's experienced in different ways. And you can almost feel the mutual respect that they have for each other. I love that. I thought that their chemistry, along with the rest of the crew, was fantastic. Possibly even the best part of the film. And it actually reminded me, and this is probably one of the reasons why I like it, of some of the 80s and 90s kind of creature feature / sci-fi horror movies that I love so much. Something, for instance, that comes to mind would be Sphere or Leviathan, for example, where you've got some surprisingly well-known actors in this situation, which is pure B-movie, and yet they elevate it because they are better actors. They have fantastic dialogue, great quips with each other. You can tell that they know each other and sometimes are friends in real life. They have that chemistry. To me, this felt like a modern interpretation of that, and I actually really liked it for that. In terms of stuff which I didn't like, well, the ending will definitely split opinions, I think. For me, it didn't ruin the film, and to be honest, I don't really know how I would have preferred it to end up. I think it pretty much ended up where it needed to, but it definitely left you with a feeling, and again, this might actually be why I like it. It left you with this feeling that the happy ending hadn't been achieved. Almost like the quote-unquote right thing had been achieved, where he'd gone off for his mission, which was the ultimate goal at the end of the day, but it's not a happy ending. It's almost like a dutiful ending. The wife doing what she should do for humanity. The husband doing what he should do. I kind of liked that, because although you could see it as frustrating or annoying, or maybe even feel that the rest of the movie was a waste of time, and I could understand that feeling exiting the movie, I actually felt in a similar way to John Carpenter's The Thing, that it was a justified ending, because there was no way back for him at that point. So the fact that he still got to carry out the mission, and unlike the rest of the crew, still kept a lot of his humanity, or at least enough to still be the protagonist, really, to me that still made it work. So even though the ending isn't necessarily something that I liked, I also didn't dislike it. And I think that that is a great feeling to have, because I'm a huge fan of tragic endings, especially when, as I said, the tragedy feels like it was unavoidable or that it was justified, like The Thing, where that is the best ending the movie could have possibly had. To me, this felt like that. That's a feeling which I don't get that often in modern movies, and I actually respect this movie for that. So I'd love to hear your thoughts down below. I could certainly, on the other hand, understand somebody saying, well, it was just forgettable. It was fine. I didn't really like it. I thought it was a bit slow, a bit boring, not much happened. Maybe the ending ruined it for me. I can understand all of those things. For me, though, I liked it. I thought there was a lot to love. I found it refreshingly different in a genre where there's so much similarity. And yeah, I liked it. It felt kind of like a throwback and a refreshing twist at the same time to me. So overall, of course, tell me your thoughts down below and stick around on the channel for more movie reviews. But for now, as always, thanks for watching.